Hello, everybody. How you doing? Here we are today or tonight, Saturday night
This morning.
for me here. It's Sunday morning for Mark, and whoops, I forgot to shut something down there. There we go. So anyway, it's what is it for you, Paul? It's
It's coming up for 20 to 8 now in the morning.
no, so it's night. Okay, so
No, morning.
morning, right? Morning for
Yeah.
you, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so anyways, so we're
Hi,
all
everyone.
different time zones and all
Hi,
mixed
everyone.
up. So there you go. So
The
anyways,
usual.
yeah. So
Some more
see
so than others.
yeah, whatever, dude. So I see everybody's here. Welcome everybody out there who's been on the chat, waiting patiently for us to come on. So
Yeah, sorry about the delay, but Paul didn't really know how things were working properly, so we're all very patient for him.
So now we're here. It's we haven't actually got to talk a whole lot recently, at least not live and stuff. And so we did get to during Mammothon though over on Paul's channel, right? So
Yes, we did.
even with Stacy, right? I mean, hey,
Yeah.
trying to get Stacy in on this tonight, but he says he's sick as a dog. I saw him. I saw him in the live chat though, so at least he was able to show up there. Because at least if he's only in the live chat, he can hurl and then type, and then hurl and then type, right? Whereas if he was on the hangout, that would be difficult. Anyways, so you guys know what hurl is, right? Because you guys look.
Sounds like throwing up.
Yeah. Basically. So
speaking to Huey on the big white phone. Big white phone.
Huey and the big white phone. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I see. Oh, I see. Right. Get what you're saying. Yeah, it's a different way of saying it. Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Praying to the porcelain god is another one. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
Have you got hold
we
of
also,
them?
you know, in the song "Man Down Under," right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they use a word for that. Women glow and men chunder. Right?
Yeah.
Chunder means to throw up.
Oh, I see. Oh, women throw and men chunder. Okay.
Women glow, I think the word is.
Oh, glow. Oh, okay.
There we go.
I figured throw was the ladylike word for it, right?
Yeah.
Hey,
Paul
what's up,
that.
Scooby? Hello, Linda, Amber. How you guys doing? Catnip. And there's Stacy again. Just a bad chest cold, he says. Yeah. Everybody wish Stacy the best of luck. He's not sure if he's going to make it through the night, so I'm kidding. He's going to be fine, folks. I'm just teasing him a little bit. But, yeah, give him your best. Let's hope Stacy gets well quick.
I'll put on my hat to him.
There you go.
You look like Jeffrey Boycott.
That way I can take my hat off to him. There we go.
Nobody knows who Jeffrey Boycott is.
Yeah, except
Mark
me.
does. Well, mate,
I don't.
Bloody Aussies, you won yesterday.
Of course. What do
you didn't? You didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't.
I could tell you didn't know that.
Because you'd have been thrown in your face before you could tell him about it, right?
No. Yeah. If he knew about it, he would have mentioned that first thing.
Right.
But if somebody's out till 3:00 in the morning in Transylvania, then I think we know what
he was down at the Wyong Dairy, and he was tying one on.
Dr. Pepper.
It was Saturday night,
at the Wyong Dairy.
Yeah.
He might have been listening to Elton John and getting in a fight. Saturday night's all right for fighting.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
It's not Mark that's afraid of the sharks. It's the sharks that are afraid of him.
Hey, speaking of music, just a quick thing before we get into the discussion.
Yeah.
Yep. This is old news, but just thought I would raise it. You know the Queen movie.
Yes. Yeah.
I haven't seen
Is
it.
it?
But
What's it actually called? Is it called Queen or is it called We Will Rock?
No, it's called
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've watched that movie like twice now. Once
Wow.
on the
flights.
plane, once downloaded.
Yep.
Seriously, that movie is just. I mean, I was already a huge fan of Queen before that, but after watching that movie, I was just blown away. What a wonderful movie! I remember
Steve Drizzen was impressed with it.
It's just very emotional and very like. If you're into your music, you just can't help but love this thing.
That's the way I feel about the Doors. By Oliver Stone.
And the guy, there'll be people out there who know who I'm talking about. The guy who played Freddie Mercury in the movie won the Oscar for Best Actor.
Yeah.
And he was just fabulous. So,
yeah.
So if you haven't already seen it, there's my recommendation. Really, really worthwhile.
I must admit, the bit I liked about it was when the guy who had recently produced Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon said that we can't go with this song. It's too long. It's 6.5 minutes. And I immediately shouted at the TV screen and I said, "What on earth is he on about? Hey Jude, MacArthur Park." Well, exactly. Of course, they are both songs that were...
Or American Pie, for that matter, right?
Yeah, that one's, like 10 minutes, I think, that one.
Yeah, Don McLean, I Went Forever. Yeah. A beautiful song.
Yeah, great song. Awesome song. I love that song.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Anyway, that's my little music moment.
Yeah, there you go. So, all right. So, Paul...
Yeah,
was all fired up, wanted to get together and talk. So, I don't know. Obviously, I'm going to be covering the rest of that paper that was written.
Yeah,
for Brendan.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Hopefully tomorrow. I'm going to probably be reading that in the morning. I was planning to read it this morning, but I had to go to work. I got called in to go to work today. We had a client whose system went down, and we didn't want them to be having trouble with their system on Memorial Day weekend when they were entertaining for a party. So I went ahead and got up and went over and got it all fixed up and whatever. So,
what a guy, Paul. Isn't that Erekose a fantastic bloke? Seriously. I hope he wore his Aussie shirt when he went on that job.
So didn't get to do it this morning. All right. So tomorrow while I'm eating my chorizo and eggs.
Oh God. Seriously. Hang on.
I'll be reviewing the rest of that and doing the video clips or the voice clips and all the clips that I need to put it together, and so should have it tomorrow. The rest of that thing. So
yeah, I've got.
I know some people have already gone ahead and clicked the link and read the entire thing, and really everybody says the same thing. It's brilliant. Bringing in the language speech pathologist to analyze it and to really. To my mind, to be able to explain all of the interpersonal things that we've all been hinting at, but we just didn't have enough knowledge, didn't have enough expertise, didn't have the benefit of lots of different social studies and different clinical trials or different behavioral trials where that these particular experts know about. That are going to allow them. I'm going to get into the analysis in the morning and just start reading the analysis, but I'm imagining it's going to be a lot like that, where they're just going to be pointing out that when these, law enforcement officers here are saying this, yes, it seems friendly on the surface. It seems like it's not a big deal on the surface, but when you think about how they're saying it, or the way that they're saying it right after they just told Brendan this, or to where they're gonna put everything into a context, I feel is like what this expert's gonna do, and I think what she is gonna be doing here. I think it's gonna be interesting to review the rest of it, obviously, but everybody that's reading this thing is saying it's absolutely phenomenal. Have you read it yet, Mark?
No, I haven't. I've been following your thing. Your broadcast about it, but I haven't read the detail of it yet, but I will.
And even I was just getting the highlights of that first part, just, why a speech pathologist? Why, just explaining what is so unique about this paper, right? And what makes it, what is so different about it. And I think that's interesting.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I just love the fact that this is a piece of, academic and practical analysis as it applies to Brendan. And you might recall that Laura Nyrider quite regularly mentioned in her on-bank submission and oral arguments, she used this expression about how that information landed on Brendan, right? That's the word she used, how it landed on him, which goes to the heart of how did it seem to Brendan? In other words, it's one thing to interpret the words as you're saying now, as to how Fassbender and Wiegert said and whether it was, coercive or whether it was friendly or other, but how did it land in his head? That article and your analysis of it so far really brings home that point to me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's I think very, very interesting. So that's something to look forward to for
my question would be two parts. One, I assume that this report has only just come together, that these two people have only just come together, so this wasn't available as an amicus brief?
Well, I'm assuming that they've only just completed their study.
Yeah.
Right,
They were doing a lot of research, and that sort of stuff, so they released their findings when they felt comfortable with their findings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, what makes it so cool is it's not just some speech language pathologist. It's a speech language pathologist coupled with a professor of law at the University of Wisconsin School of Law. So I mean that's going to turn some heads in the circles.
Yeah. I mean, that was my next question was, does this get coupled with the amicus briefs in terms of Steve Drisden and Laura Nyrider using everything that they've acquired so far to go back to the Court of Appeals to start with Brendan starting with Angela Sukovich?
The question, I suppose, is does this represent newly discovered evidence, doesn't it? That's the core issue.
Yeah, would this in a way.
Yeah.
Or will the act of this paper getting passed around, get the rest of the legal community thinking, and I mean, for right now, I got to imagine that they're thinking about doing everything they possibly can for when they make their eventual bid, right? Obviously, they're sitting back waiting right now while Zellner is doing her thing, because Zellner is just going through, creating a wake, and they're just going to be able to go through and cherry pick all the stuff that Zellner, is turning up, and they'll be able to use that when they do their little thing when they try to do Brendan's 97-406 motion for post conviction relief, and so they're going to have that, but then also they can have this paper that's been getting passed around in legal circles and that people are paying attention to, and it's just like it's like helping to set a stage for the eventual where this is going, essentially, right? And trying to continue to affect hearts and minds, is I think a big part of what this paper does.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, Mark. Okay.
No, just to reiterate your point there, and that is that the more of these sorts of papers that are presented, the better for the whole justice system, let alone for Brendan. Right.
And I think it's ingenious, getting this, speech language pathologist involved. So, do you have something to say, Paul?
No, it's just the fact that at the very start it says about the fact that obviously everybody watched Making a Murderer, and whilst the wording was whilst people were sort of divided on the guilt of Stephen Avery, virtually everybody was agreed that Brendan Dassey clearly had nothing to do with it. Well, of course, one of the reasons why a lot of people feel, or the ones that feel that that Steve is guilty. The reason why they feel that he's guilty is because of Brendan's confession.
Yeah.
Well, there's certainly a portion of people that, believe that because of it. Yeah.
I don't know how you can have one without the other, because the crime is allegedly the one crime. So I don't know how you can say Brendan is innocent without, ipso facto saying that Stephen's innocent. Because if Brendan's innocent, he's not part of this whole scenario, and therefore the whole scenario didn't happen because the arguments against Stephen include Brendan.
Right.
So
Brendan doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
The whole thing doesn't make sense. Where did this all happen? I don't know. It certainly didn't happen in the trailer or in the garage. So where did this all happen? We don't know. Bones are found, 3 days later after, the RAV4, just like all this weird crap. The day found or the key found on the 8th search, Andy claims that he picked up the cabinet and shook it around and the heavens opened up and the key just popped out.
But all the stuff inside the cabinet just sat neatly there.
Well, he had just emptied it out, put stuff back, and that's why I showed everybody in a recent video. It's like I tucked the key in supposedly clever places, and showed that if you empty that out and shine your flashlight in there, you're still going to see that there's something going. You're going to see something that's going to catch your eye and make you go, "What the hell is that?" You know what I mean? And make you look closer. I mean, it's just their claims are beyond ridiculous. Beyond ridiculous. There's no way I can believe that cabinet was emptied out 3 times, at least twice, but most likely 3, probably 4 times, and that nobody noticed this cleverly hidden key somewhere in the back of this cabinet. I mean, no, sorry.
Yeah, but the real clever bit is not how he managed to hide the key, so that it was until the seventh search that they managed to find it. The real clever bit about the key was how he managed to remove all of Teresa's DNA, only put his DNA on it, and 20 times more than what would normally be found on the key. That is the clever bit.
Yeah.
Oh God, I don't believe we're discussing this point, but
this is one of the dude's favorites.
Oh, it's seriously, it's just ridiculous.
Well, hey, this is what we're talking about, because I had Charles Darwin over on my channel recently talking and saying all this crap, and basically and I think Thomas Hens came in too and was started saying, "Oh, well, you pushed the binder into the back of the cabinet and it made the back of the cabinet loose, and then that's what made the key eventually fall out or whatever." I'm like, yeah, I accounted for that. I peeled the back of the cabinet off and I wedged it, even wedged it open so that it would be, open. I go, it's still very difficult to get that key to fall out, and when it does, it falls on the baseboard. It doesn't fall 3 inches away from the baseboard.
No.
So it's anyway. So
for it to fall outside of the cabinet, it would have to have at least 80% of it already poking out the side of the cabinet.
Yeah.
So that the gravity, the weight of the key would be on the outside of the cabinet, on the inside of the cabinet. So when you loosen the backboard, the weight of the key would make it fall on the outside. So if it was that key and the lanyard, if it was 80% or so outside of the cabinet, then it'd be obvious as the proverbials. So you wouldn't have to guess where it was.
Yeah,
so,
it's like I showed in the video that I did. I mean, I don't know if you watched it yet. I kind of re-uploaded it and revamped it and re-uploaded it a few days ago.
Oh no, I haven't seen that. I saw the original one way back when.
But okay, so that one, and in there I wedge it in between the cross shelf and the back panel, and show that when you shine in there, you can see there's something there for you to go, what the hell is that? And then if it's in the side, if it's wedged in between the back panel and the side wall, it's dead obvious. Walking through that doorway, you would have seen it. You would have seen a key wedged in there. So it's ridiculous.
It's side onto the door.
So it's ridiculous to think that it would have been hidden there. And so yeah, it's just the whole thing with the key is beyond ridiculous. And for people to say, oh, you don't know that he did that. No, I do know he did that. I do know that Colburn was involved in planting that key, or he was duped and didn't realize it, and it was linked. Either way, something untoward was going on.
Something going on, right?
There's something going on. Your freedom is in danger.
And as we know, and as Kathleen Zellner quite forcefully points out, as soon as you get one level of dishonesty and lies from law enforcement, then everything's up for question, right? So you can, if they're capable of doing that, what else are they capable of doing?
Right. It's like I say, if they're capable of doing what they did to Brendan, sky's the limit.
Exactly.
Sky is the freaking limit. If they were willing to do that to a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah. And then with Sergeant Colburn, then we have this issue about, let me see, on the Friday or the Thursday, I forget which day it is now, before the finding of the car, it's reported to him at the Scenic station in Mishicot, that there's Teresa's car up the road, a mile or so, and no report on any of that, so it all goes to the character, let alone the fact that Manitowoc should not have been involved at all in the investigation. So, and the reason why they needed to be involved so they could continue with this charade. That's why they had to be involved.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if Colburn was duped and didn't realize that somebody had kind of put the key there for it to just somehow suspiciously fall out, and everything, well, then he needs to come clean. Exactly. He needs to, tell his story and get it out there. And the problem is with this whole thing is, has anybody ever tried to come out and explain the anomalies or anything in this case? No. All we've gotten is BS from Kratz, just a bunch of BS, no proof, no nothing, just a bunch of stuff from Kratz, basically a bunch of words from Kratz that amount to nothing because the guy lies too much for anything he says to matter.
Well, hold on a sec. Kratz didn't just prove Stephen Brendan guilty beyond reasonable doubt. According to him, he proved them guilty beyond all doubt.
Yeah.
Are you saying that there's some doubt after all?
I think so.
Yeah.
The last 3 years, the state of Wisconsin has had this black eye because of a documentary that was made because of the case that he ran. So that should tell you something. Well, almost 3.5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
no, getting back.
You guys believe it? June 15th. We're almost there.
I know.
Whoa. Mark's got to get ready to start going across the pond there again. The other pond.
That's right.
Holy crud, that is a long flight, my friend. Holy moly. 15 and a half hours, 15 and a half hours. Oh, my gosh. That is...
What, from Transylvania? I don't think so.
No, not
for me, it was for me anyway. From LA to Australia and from Australia to LA, it was about 14 and a half, 15 hours.
All right. How long was it for me?
I don't remember. You went to Dubai. I remember.
Yeah, just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And Paul, by the way, on that flight, did you get any weather on the way?
I don't believe we did. I think they only have weather above Chicago. Am I right?
What do you want to say here in America when we refer to kind of severe weather or whatever? Sometimes instead of saying severe weather, we will just say weather, and here Americans will understand what that means. But
dude,
you foreigners,
dude, it's not just it's not just you. It's a term used all around the world.
It must not be multicultural, Because
It is.
you know,
It
I
is.
mean, so anyway.
It is.
So
Don't worry. Don't
otherwise,
worry.
you have to sit here and admit right now what a haverer you are, and we know that's not going to happen.
So you don't have
So
to admit that. That's
anyway,
self-evident. That's self-evident. You don't have to.
Right. Okay. Let's first of all address issue number one. The reason why we're late starting is not because of me sleeping. I was right. Change the subject. I've got a question. What did Wiegert and Fassbender mean? Talking about colloquialisms, what do they mean by the term "we'll go and bat for you, Brendan"? You know, you can say stuff that will make you look bad, but don't worry, we'll go and bat for you. What does that mean? Does that mean don't worry, you can tell us that you did all this evil stuff, but don't worry about it. We'll make sure that you end up looking good.
we'll make you end. What it really means is
We're on your
we'll make sure
your
you end
side.
up with a lesser penalty than what you would normally get.
And how does that work? What did they get up in a court of law and say, you know, well, Brendan did all this, but he's really a good fella, so we're batting for him. What does
Yeah, well, their interpretation of what that would have meant was, if you plead guilty, we'll get you a lesser sentence. That's what
is that
Why
up for
wasn't
them?
that, really? Just pleading guilty might not have been enough.
Yeah, but they would have if he'd given state evidence against Stephen, which he didn't, right? Then they were going to do a plea deal. That was what Kaczynski was trying to get him to do all the time. So going to bat for him in their minds would have been, instead of being in prison for 40 odd years, which was the ultimate sentence, you might only be in there for 10 or 15. So
hold on a sec.
great reward for being innocent, right?
Yeah. So Wiegert and Fassbender are now not just the investigators; they're the judges as well.
Of course. Yeah.
Oh right. Oh sorry. Yeah. Silly me. Havering as usual.
Yeah.
No, I just find that like a bizarre thing. You know, if you're guilty, why would they go and bat for you? Why would they go and make you look good? You know, it's a bit like, you know, Mike Holbach saying that Brendan should have taken the plea deal. Well, Mike, you're convinced, or you, according to your press conferences, you say, you know, watch that video of Brendan's confession, and that's all you need to know. So if you're really convinced that Brendan is guilty, why are you suggesting that Brendan should have taken the plea deal and got a lesser sentence for all the horrible stuff that he and Steve did to your sister?
Correct.
Right.
It just doesn't add up.
Yeah. A lot of things about Mike don't add up. That's one of the weird things about Mike.
Look, the technical term is wonky, but you know, there's more sort of other ways of putting it which are far less polite. You see, the thing is that I keep going on about this. I made a point of specifically asking people who visit Brendan to ask him the question, did Steve do it? And he's constantly come back. He has never ever wavered in this. Brendan is 100% sure that nothing happened. Steve had nothing to do with the disappearance of Teresa Holbeck. Hell, he was there at the bonfire.
If he did, where did it happen? I mean, I seriously need that. If I'd have been on this jury, I would have been like, you know what? Sorry, prosecution, but where did this happen? It didn't happen where you're saying it happened. So where did it happen? I mean, that would be a huge deal for me. I wouldn't be able to just lightly get over that.
Yeah, no. I mean, I like to post by Fen. You know, she's doing the 80 things.
Yep.
80 more things.
You know, 80 more things.
That's a nod to Stacy Seabrook, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Who?
Stacy Seabrook.
He won't be with us.
The late great.
The late great. That's a lyric in one of his songs. You know.
We know.
I got to take my hat off to him in.
Oh,
in
Jeffrey!
respect.
Jeffrey, how's it doing?
All right.
Yeah. she posted about the one of the 80 other things is the fact that, you know, for the amount of tires that would have been needed to have act as an accelerant in burning, the black smoke would have been horrendous.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, when you see
And
tires,
the amount of steel as well that would be left behind.
yeah,
Yeah.
not just little bits of.
Not just a little tiny bit of hoops. There would have been
Yeah.
it would have been like a nest of hoops.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
You got a bunch of those little hoops like that in every radio. So you would imagine, and they're all like really thin, right? So it's like you're gonna imagine you're gonna have quite a few of those per radio.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I'll need to do a bit more research into this. As I say, this report, this new report that's just come out. That you've covered the first bit of. As I say, I've got one or two questions about what's going to happen. You know, what's going to happen with this? How is it going to be applied? And does it, as you say, is it just simply a case of putting it out there so that people are aware of it, and then they have a better understanding, and this helps to change opinions? I think that was something that, well, I don't think that was. I know that was something that Steve wrote in his email to me, was that, you know, opinions change. One just gets a bit fed up that it takes so long, you know. Anyway, moving on to
one of the things they said, that like everything about what Wiegert and Fassbender did at virtually every point of the interrogation, they were violating even the most like minimal standards of what you're of according to the language speech pathologists. Like they were just like violating all of the like most basic rules that you're supposed to, you know, not break with a juvenile, particularly one like Brendan. And so they were quick to point that out right off the bat. So it's going to be interesting to see the expertise brought, because obviously that's been the thing this whole time. How well have we been able to articulate what we're seeing? We all see it. We know we're seeing it, but how well have we been able to articulate it? I think we're going to find out that these, you know, language speech pathologists are going to be in a good position to help us really get the definition on that. And I like the way they pointed out in their intro too, that somebody likened it to the training of a new puppy, because it was a lot like that, you know. So
okay. My next question was to do with Mammothon, and you did that video about where the donations went, and I believe you got a mixture of comments back. Some were saying, "Oh, thank you for that," and some were saying, "Well, did you really need?" You
some
actually
people
didn't
are like,
really
"Oh, well,
need
it's nice you did this, but it really wasn't necessary. You didn't need to do this." Some even said something like, "Oh, it's a shame that this is even necessary," and that sort of stuff, because they basically just, you know, they have so much trust for me and the other hosts and everything, and so I thought that was touching. And then there was some people that were like, very much like, "Oh, thank you for this. It's good that you did this. It's nice to know that it's getting to where it's supposed to," and whatever. And I think I come to realize why is because there was someone else over on one of the popular sites for Stephen and Brendan was claiming that we were doing some shady things with the donation money. So people were happy to see what was happening with it, why it wasn't able to go in all at once, and that we will be continuing to keep them abreast until every penny that's supposed to go to Stephen and Brendan reaches them. So
yeah, the basic point is that you can only make deposits of up to $300. So there'll be approximately 8 deposits over 8 weeks, roughly, maybe 9 considering it's 8 days. So there's going to be 8 or 9 deposits. That's the story, and you have receipts for them all. So
And so I showed
People
the
just
first
create.
3 deposits for each guy already in that video, and showed people the email explains from Access Corrections, explaining what the policy is, so that everybody understood. And it's funny, I didn't know as I was making it that somebody else was going to be going live and basically telling people a bunch of stuff. But as I was making it and uploading it, somebody was doing just that. I mean, literally. I mean, the timing, isn't it weird? Right? I mean, just like literally as I'm uploading this thing to go, hey guys, here's what's going on. Somebody's over somewhere else going live saying, oh yeah, they're using it to fund a party at Rally, and they're doing this and they're doing like, all these various things that they're claiming or whatever. And it's just like, oh my gosh, why? Anyway, so
drama queen. That's
none
who
of
it
that
is.
stuff is true, folks. By the way,
Yeah.
it isn't true. Okay, look,
Yeah.
those of us who are going there are paying for every single thing we do there out of our own pockets. Okay?
Correct.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
We just care. Okay? And we're paying
Yep.
for this stuff out of our own pockets. So, yeah.
So my question would be, and I raised this earlier, sort of off air as we were waiting for a certain Australian fellow to join us, having huge problems trying to sort out his link.
Jeffrey.
Yes. Why? Okay. My first question would be to you two, and I'll go first. I thought when it was mentioned that we're doing it as a fundraiser as well, and I'm thinking, oh well, if we raise $100, $200, that'll be very, very good. That'll be very, very helpful. If we could send each guy $100 to put in their canteen fund, that's going to be great. What did you honestly think was going to be raised, and why do you think the amount ended up being so much?
I don't know what I thought. I hoped we would get 3,000.
3,000
At the beginning, before everything, I was hoping we'd get 3,000.
Gee whiz.
I was hoping. No, you need to understand and get the words I'm using here. Realistically, I didn't really think we were going to get to 3,000. So I was like, I wasn't sure where we were going to end up. But I was hoping we'd at least get maybe 1,000 or 1,500 at the very least. So was very pleased when we were able to, especially in my last little segment there, we were able to push it over 4,000, and then in the week following that, we got another huge donation that put it up to about 5,000. So it was amazing, absolutely amazing, the generosity that was shown by Stephen and Brendan's supporters during Mammothon. All the people that showed up and made it such a great event and took part were active in the live chats. The special guests that called in, Sandy Greenman, thanks for that, by the way, Mr. Hoddinott.
Pleasure.
But having like the Sandy Greenman, having the Redditors like TikTok Manitowoc, 7 Pairs of Panties, all those people that you've read their posts, you've read their stuff on Twitter, and you've read their stuff on Reddit and stuff, but you never heard their voices before. Well, we got to hear their voices during Mammothon, and I thought that was kind of a cool thing. So there was just a lot of really cool things that happened during Mammothon that made it really cool, and it's really a big part of, everybody showing up there to make it that way. Also, big part behind the scenes with Julie Pom Pom and Tracy Strunzy's daughter, and just lots of other people like Falcon, who was helping out with the promos. All the mods who were there, and they were enforced, and they were quick with the links that were necessary at any given time. I mean, it was all really, really, really well done. And so, and it took a lot of people taking care, and a lot of coordination, and and a lot of endurance.
Well, Mark, maybe then you could answer the question as to why do you think so much money was raised? Because the dude doesn't understand the English language. I asked him a simple question as to why, and he's failed to answer it miserably. So maybe you could do that for us.
I know what to say. 1,000
Well,
to 1,500, hoping for 3. We got 5.
But
I rest my case.
Anything else
Okay.
you going to cover?
no, for me, it was quite simple. The reason why so much money was raised was because of the fact. No, seriously. Very quickly.
You asked me the question, and then he jumps in and answers it a second time, and then you jump in and answer your own question. So you don't have to ask me. I'll just go and talk to Jeffrey.
Mark, if you watched Rainbow, here we go, Zippy.
No, I haven't. Sorry.
On you go.
I'll give you my answer then.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so I thought probably, maybe if we were lucky, maybe a couple of $1,000. Yep. That's what I was thinking. But I think what happened was the spirit of goodwill and generosity of people's time and energy for this whole cause, particularly from all the presenters and their guests, I think just created a momentum of goodwill that people wanted to contribute to that, and they did so through financially, through donations. And I think that's what pushed the target to where it was. And you could tell that in the way people were speaking on air and how up they were about the whole thing. And I think that was the big take for me from the whole Mammothon weekend. Mm-hmm. The generosity of spirit that was created through that, and the coming together of disparate people into a collective environment that was all about Stephen and Brendan and their freedom and justice and so on. And I think that's what got people going. So,
when I got TikTok on the phone, and so he starts out with, "Okay, I want to ask all kids under the age of 14 to please leave the room," and blah blah blah. Dude, I wanted to die laughing when I heard him go into that. I was just like, "Oh, dude, hilarious!" And then how did he do the second? Oh, when he called in on the second call, he was saying something along the lines of, "Hello, this is Mark Williams. Is Thomas Fallon there? Or whatever." Oh my God, dude! Hilarious, dude. That guy, TikTok's got a sense of humor.
Yep. Okay, so what I was going to ask then would be, do you think as well it's the fact that whilst it's been suggested that you could put money towards this and that and this and the other, the fact that the money was actually going to their canteens, do you think that helped?
I think so. I think that kind of created we can all relate to that.
Yeah.
We can relate to the physical environment that is. So I think that helped, and I thought that was a smart way of doing it. And, Tracy and those in control of that process, you knew that they were going to do a great job with all of that. So, I thought that was good. And, we saw just, was it yesterday, Brendan's little note back out, thanking everyone. I mean, I know because as you know, I speak with Stephen and visit him. He was just blown away by what went on. The event itself, as well as the amount of money that people had donated. He just thought that was, incredible. Mm-hmm. So that says it all to me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Do you know how many actual donations there were?
The actual numbers of donations?
Like how many different people donated?
Oh, I don't know.
How many sort of individual payments were there? Do you know, dude?
How many actual donations there were?
Yeah. I believe it was just short of 200.
I was going to say,
wow, that's great.
That's what it was, something like that. Karen, by the way, no, Guilt-a-thon was a joke. That's been confirmed now, by the way.
Yeah, a joke that I fell for completely, hook, line, and sinker. And was actually looking forward to.
They would try just to see how well they'd be able to do it. But Who knows? Maybe it wasn't really a joke. Maybe that's just the story in the end when they realized that the
Well,
logistics of planning it is pretty difficult.
well, you know what? You know why it wasn't going to work. They have to show their faces, right? So,
Yeah,
you know, that was going. Was it all going to be an audio one, right? Seriously,
right.
or they're going to wear masks? So,
Right.
so, so it was never going to work on the basis of what we were familiar with Memathon.
I figured there was a few of them that might be willing to show their faces and that they'd be able to maybe try to. I don't know. I was eager to see if they could pull anything off, actually. So it would have been.
Ken Kratz might have had to interview himself. So,
Yeah, right.
Mm.
It would have been, and he would have had like a synthesizer,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
one test group probably, just so people didn't hear his high nasally voice in the dead giveaway. That's Kratz. So
Yeah. No, I actually sent him the link to one or two people that I suggested.
even with the synthesizer, if you say "kick the dead bodies" and
Oh
say they're
God,
dead,
seriously.
it's the jig's up. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, that's still. I mean, what that comment by Kratz says to me is very much a case of he's almost trying to shock people by his choice of language like that. It was meant to sort of put Andy, the interviewer, Andy. What do we know? It's just Andy, isn't he?
AC rookie, you mean?
Yes, yeah. It was just meant to be shocking, something shocking, to try and put him off.
Yeah.
That's what I took that
I
as
think
being.
so.
And it's
trying to shock Andy, right?
and it's just so typical Kratz.
Yeah.
Of
He's a
him.
bully.
Look at the
That's
way
basic.
Kratz argues with that reporter who comes to ask him about his sex tape and all that. Look at the way he argues with that guy. It's amazing to watch him spinning it around to where he's trying to make it all that reporter's fault. I mean, it's just like, oh my God, this guy is something else, dude. Like, oh my God, he's just a piece of work, dude.
Yeah. I think in the UK the word Teflon comes to mind.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't want anything to stick to him.
Nothing to stick, right?
No, I mean, I must admit, Piotrthon, I would like to have heard what their theory is as to what went down. Because clearly it's not the way that that Kratz described it in his closing argument, right. and that was the other thing that again I've asked you this question recently. How is he even able to get away with saying reasonable doubt is for innocent people when you're in a court of law? How is he able to say that?
How are they able to say in the closing arguments of Brendan's trial that innocent people don't confess?
Yeah,
that's a lie.
I mean, what is
confess?
What
I
is
know
the
you're passionate about that one, Mark. So.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. What is the protocol? If someone out there knows who's listening, what is the protocol about what you can and can't say in opening and closing argument? Can a judge rule against what's being said? Can the other side object to what's being said?
It's usually frowned upon to interrupt a opponent's opening or closing arguments just because they're meant to be orations and that sort of stuff. So it generally has to be something pretty bad, and you actually can see that in the Avery trial if you look. I think it's really early on. I think around page 32 of Stephen's trial transcripts. Dean wants to object, but he doesn't want. He waits until Kratz rests with his opening argument, and then he stands up and tells the Judge, I object about this, and that. I didn't want to interrupt during his opening argument, but I want to object about this thing, and that thing, or whatever. Basically, and he waits until after Kratz is done. So there is some of that. in the courts.
I can understand why that would be so, because you're going to lose the whole train of your thought. But if you keep having your opening argument interrupted, but I would have thought it would be appropriate for the judge to instruct the jury that what you're going to hear in these opening arguments may not be agreed to by the submission of the information may not be agreed to by the other side, and you should bear that in mind when you listen, because they talk about things, especially Kratz, as if they're proven facts, or in Tom Fallon's case, in closing argument in Brendan's trial, that innocent people don't confess. I mean, that's just a straight lie,
Yep.
So I don't know. I obviously I'm not there in the jury room, in the courtroom at the time, but jurors are just everyday folk, right? Some are a bit more than that, but generally they're just everyday folk. They're typically just going to hear what they hear and take what they see on face value.
And we all believe we can trust our law enforcement. We all want to believe that these officials are trustworthy people, because we don't want to think about a world where those people are, as bad or worse than the criminals.
No, of course.
Yeah, I mean, so
I want to think that. That's totally.
But by avoiding that, we may end up with just that. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And this is the role of the judge. The judge has a big role here in making sure that stuff that is improperly said is corrected on the record and to the ears of the jurors. So that, to me, that's the really important role of the judge.
Right. So I think you have to go, don't you, Paul?
Yeah, I was just going to finish up just to point out that when he says reasonable doubt is for innocent people, that's in effect is an admission of the fact that we have the state haven't proved a case at all. But what we're saying is that we've decided that he's guilty, so therefore you as the jury don't need reasonable doubt to convict him. Yeah. You just need to believe what we're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. For me, it was a completely and utterly wrong thing for him to say. And I would be interested to know if it's something that are there limits to what these people can say? Because that was just ridiculous. Anyway, yes, I had better head off.
Paul, I got to make someone to say hello to you. Here he is.
Excellent. Yeah. Those are the those jerseys go back to the World Cup of 1992.
There you go.
Yeah, excellent.
Kangi.
Well, he's got his Green Bay shirt on, and I've got my Green Bay. I've got my Green Bay tie on.
Oh.
You're the only one letting aside. Even your kangaroo there has got the Green Bay colours.
Yeah, here he is.
A little bit, yeah. Some green and yellow there.
He's celebrating after yesterday's victory.
Yeah.
At the pub, right?
Yeah.
He won the beer pong.
Oh no, the cricket game against England, Australia.
There you go.
The warm-up game.
Yeah.
Warm-up.
Yeah. We'll wait till the real thing happens. Right. Okay. Yes. Please, if I might be excused, and I'll leave you to.
It's actually after midnight for me, so I'm ready to.
My goodness.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to both of you. Of course, it's been a pleasure having you here tonight to sit in on my chat with Mark and Paul. These are two of my favorite guys to hang out with. Count myself fortunate to be friends with both of them. So, thank you for being here, guys.
No,
thank you for having us. Thanks for everyone listening in. What?
And thanks for donating to Mammothon.
And yes,
yes.
thank you everybody for that. I know Brendan's very excited about being able to watch some movies on his iPad and rent and stuff, movies to be able to watch on his iPad and things like that. So we're gonna help to make his stay, his remainder of his stay, before he finally gets out. You know, we worked and we're gonna we through our effort, we're making it a little bit more bearable for him, a little bit more. You know, it's where he has a little bit, few more things that he can feel connected to the outside world, I guess, is one way to look at it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, hopefully Steve Drizzen and I have persuaded Brendan to get some Supertramp. What would you suggest, dude? Some transplants?
Transplant. There you go. Diamonds and guns.
Yeah.
There you go.
And any Aussie music you can suggest, Mr. Sharpmeat?
Let me think. How about
Akadaka.
yeah, there you go. Akadaka. Yeah. Or maybe bananas in pajamas. How about that? Great Aussie duo.
Just not have a dancing queen.
Yeah, that's right. So
right.
looking forward to rally. By the way, 3 weeks away, and the event after rally.
You're going to be there on Friday, right?
Yeah, I'll be there actually on Wednesday, I think.
Okay.
So
you want to meet up with me and Nina on Friday when I get off the plane?
Nina, you're flying into Nina?
Well, no, I'm going to be stopping at Nina.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
on
sure.
the way in.
Yeah. No problem.
Yeah, all right.
At the Nina International Airport, is that where you're flying into? Is
No, I'm flying in there. Strabo, as far as I know.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be stopping at Nina on the way down to Manitowoc.
And where is Nina?
It's about 40 miles north of Manitowoc, or 30 miles north of Manitowoc, something like that.
No, it
Or
isn't.
40
minutes.
Anyway.
It's 50 miles due west of Manitowoc.
Yes.
West? Okay. Yeah.
But are we surprised, Paul? Right?
No. That's why I asked the question, because I think if you go 50 miles due north of Manitowoc, you'd end up on the edge of Lake Michigan, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You'd probably be in the water there. No, it's just below Appleton, dude.
Okay.
Which
you
is
go to Appleton.
Pretty much. It's state highway 41, Mr. Kose. So if you go from the airport, there's 41 and 43. They run down the state. One's a little to the east and one's a little to the west. You want state highway, interstate 41.
I want the one that goes west. Yeah, there you go.
No, well, Green Bay Airport is already west of in the state. It's not, it's sort of northwest from Manitowoc. So if you go due south once you connect with 41, due south, it goes all the way down to Madison, I think. Actually,
I'll probably just use my phone and my app and just do a little bloop like I did before.
Yeah. But, you see all those directions, Mark? They just went right over his head.
Have you got your Wisconsin visa organized?
Highway 41 or 43. I knew that much. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm just checking whether you got your Wisconsin visa ready.
Wisconsin visa, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're driving, don't forget to put your seatbelt on.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. and Eunice, when Paul's riding in the passenger seat, don't forget to smack him at every red light.
God, he's gonna have a red face. He's gonna have a red face when he gets to Manitowoc.
Right?
I'll have a red face by the time I get to Heathrow.
and they're going to be in a RAV too. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, you booked the RAV
or similar. I checked it. I know. I checked it. It's a Toyota RAV4 or similar. It's an SUV. So anyway, we'll wait and see what I get. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Cheers, guys.
All right, guys. It's been fun.
All the best, everyone. Take care.
Bye, everybody out there. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe for Paul, Stacy, Tracy. Hey, all of those folks. Okay, we'll see you guys. Be good.
Bye now.